listen closely, and imagine a modest study just as dawn breaks. An older voice, steady from years of reflection, reaches you through the hush. You sense the presence of well-worn volumes by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus lying nearby. Testimonies to an ancient tradition that has shaped countless lives. Our theme today is Ambition and Detachment, the Stoic Secret to Meaningful Success. That title might seem contradictory. After all, how does one aggressively pursue goals while also practicing detachment? Isn't ambition inherently bound to a fierce attachment to outcomes, to climbing, achieving, conquering? The Stoics, in their paradoxical wisdom, reveal that genuine success often emerges not from anxious obsession, but from a calm, reasoned detachment, allowing you to pour your energy into effort rather than clinging to results. Now, if you are new here, please like the video and subscribe. Statistics show that only 15% of my audience is subscribed to the channel. So if this content has helped you in any way, I ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let me begin with a question that might invert your usual thinking. What if the surest route to high achievement is to want success less desperately? That sounds bizarre, perhaps even defeatist. We're taught that you must crave victory above all else to excel in business, sports, or any competitive sphere. Yet the ancient Stoics discovered a deeper principle. The more you obsess over securing a specific outcome, the more you bind your emotional equilibrium to factors you can't fully control, fueling anxiety and possibly sabotaging your performance. Conversely, if you throw yourself wholeheartedly into your work or passion, caring deeply about the process but remaining unattached to the final trophy, you often achieve even greater heights, free from the crippling fear of failure or the illusions of total control. This Stoic stance is not laziness. It's a laser-focused approach that invests in the present with unwavering discipline, simultaneously accepting that final results do not define your self-worth. Why should you or anyone care? Because our modern climate abounds with illusions about success. We worship hustle culture, emphasize external markers like promotions, accolades, or social media metrics, and conflate all that with personal identity. Then we wonder why so many burn out, undone by stress or by the crushing disappointment when things don't go exactly as planned. Stoicism offers a blueprint that says, yes, strive diligently, aim high, push your potential, but anchor yourself in something deeper, an unflinching dedication to virtue, reason, and the day-to-day pursuit of excellence, rather than fixating on the external finish line. By practicing this detachment, you ironically free yourself to act more boldly, because you're no longer crippled by the question, but what if I fail? The Stoic method transforms ambition from a frenetic race into a purposeful journey. In this script, we'll outline how to integrate Stoic teachings into a quest for meaningful success. First, I'll paint a picture of what the Stoics themselves said about ambition and how they steered a middle course between apathy and obsession. Then, I'll share personal anecdotes and historical examples, like Marcus Aurelius, who ruled as emperor yet never lost his Stoic composure, or Cato, who stood for principle even when it clashed with worldly power. We'll also see how illusions about controlling outcomes hamper real achievement, a theme we touched on in prior Stoic discussions. Finally, we'll present a cohesive daily practice, one that merges goal setting with Stoic detachment, letting you harness ambition while preserving your mental and emotional peace. Before plunging ahead, let me give you a taste of the Stoic paradox. You can be deeply committed to a project, working nights, refining your craft, forging alliances, without tethering your identity to the final scoreboard. When you do so, you enjoy the pursuit itself, focusing on consistent effort and moral alignment, not purely on accolades or the fear of defeat. This posture fosters a calmer, more creative mind. It's not that you don't want to win, you absolutely do. It's that your internal serenity doesn't hinge on the victory. If it arrives, wonderful. If not, you pivot with minimal heartbreak, gleaning lessons. In a world that often extols win at all costs, Stoicism reminds us that a cost too great, like losing integrity or mental health, erodes success from within. The Stoic secret is to realize that your best chance of genuine accomplishment emerges when your sense of self isn't shackled to outcomes. Let me ground these ideas with a personal story. Years ago, I was fixated on launching a certain business venture. I poured countless hours into planning, marketing, forging contacts. Yet, in the back of my mind lurked an intense fear. If this fails, it proves I'm not cut out for entrepreneurship. I'll be humiliated. That fear weighed me down, ironically dulling my creativity and paralyzing me from taking certain calculated risks. Then I encountered Stoic texts that taught me to differentiate between what I can and can't control. I realized that no matter how thoroughly I planned, economic shifts, partner decisions, or plain luck could scuttle the venture. Stoic negative visualization had me picture a scenario where, despite best efforts, the business collapsed. I mentally rehearsed how I'd respond, scaling back my expenses, pivoting to new roles, extracting lessons. By accepting that possible failure, I let go of illusions about guaranteeing success. Freed from that crippling dread, I was able to move with more clarity and creativity. The result? The venture found moderate success. Not a dramatic triumph, but enough to confirm that Stoic detachment indeed sharpened my performance. More importantly, I was no longer enslaved by anxiety over the final outcome. I discovered that the process itself, innovation, forging relationships, brought deep satisfaction, success or not. That personal anecdote exemplifies how Stoic ambition differs from typical ambition. Typical ambition is outcome-obsessed, fueling stress and sometimes unethical shortcuts. Stoic ambition is process-focused, nurturing resilience and moral steadiness. Yes, it still yearns for excellence or impact, but it invests in what Stoics call the proper use of one's own faculty of choice, the day-to-day efforts, the discipline, the strategic thinking, without illusions about controlling everything else. This stance, ironically, can lead to greater achievements, for two reasons. First, you won't sabotage yourself out of fear, and second, people sense the authenticity and calm in your approach, forging trust and synergy. Let me also highlight how Stoic ambition is tied to deeper purpose. The Stoics believed that living in accordance with nature means aligning your gifts and energies with service to the common good, or with personal excellence that doesn't trample moral lines. So if you yearn for wealth or recognition, Stoicism doesn't forbid it, but it does ask, does your pursuit degrade your virtues, like honesty, courage, or kindness? Or does it reflect them? If ambition demands repeated moral compromises, Stoics see that as a hollow victory. The truly meaningful success is one that respects your values. That synergy between success and virtue is the hallmark of Stoic-based ambition. You strive, but never at the expense of your integrity. Once illusions about any means necessary vanish, you might pass on certain shady opportunities, but your achievements remain free of the regrets that plague many triumphant figures who sold their souls along the way. Now, let me preview the structure of this entire script. In Part 1, we are defining Stoic ambition and the paradox of detachment, the general concept that caring less about outcomes can yield better outcomes. In Part 2, we'll probe illusions that sabotage Stoic ambition, illusions like "I must have total success to be worthy," or "failure is catastrophic." We'll see how negative visualization dissolves these illusions, granting you the mental clarity to persist in your goals without meltdown. We'll also examine how illusions about controlling external events hamper your initiative, ironically undermining success. In Part 3, we'll unify these insights into a practical daily routine, a Stoic approach to setting goals, forging consistent effort, maintaining moral lines, and gracefully adapting if adversity strikes. By the end, you'll hold a method for pursuing great endeavors wholeheartedly, yet living at peace whether you win or lose. One more historical anchor. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor, arguably the pinnacle of worldly ambition. Yet he repeatedly wrote in his meditations that each day he reminded himself he could face betrayal, ingratitude, or personal misfortune. He governed with diligence, but also recognized the ephemeral nature of power and success. That combination let him handle crises, from barbarian invasions to palace intrigues, without degenerating into tyranny or despair. He cared about Rome's welfare, but if fate dictated partial failure, he'd remain unbroken. That is Stoic ambition. Do your utmost for the common good, or your personal calling, never forgetting that outcomes remain partly out of your hands. Freed from illusions that you can secure absolute control, you rule your own responses effectively. Now, let me connect Stoic ambition to a modern scenario. Suppose you're an athlete striving to win a championship. The typical path is to tie your identity entirely to that trophy, letting every practice or game weigh heavily with terror. If I lose, I'm worthless. The Stoic path is to practice just as hard, if not harder, fueled by love of the sport and discipline, but to accept the possibility of defeat. You visualize how you'd respond if you fell short, seeing you'd adapt, train again, or transition gracefully if the time is right. This acceptance dissipates performance anxiety and often yields better focus in critical moments. Ironically, you might find yourself more likely to excel because illusions and fear no longer bog you down. And if you do lose, Stoic composure helps you handle it with dignity, gleaning lessons instead of crumbling. That sets the stage for Part 2, where we'll dissect illusions that hamper Stoic ambition. We'll see that illusions about "I must succeed" or "my life is meaningless," or illusions of guaranteed success can each sabotage your day-to-day process. We'll examine how negative visualization helps you face your worst fear: public failure, financial meltdown, missed opportunities, so you can pour unflinching effort into your goals without mental chains. By dropping illusions, you find a paradoxical freedom that can power your ambitions forward. That's the Stoic secret. Ambition unshackled from outcome obsession is unstoppable. In sum, Stoicism invites you to chase the highest aims you can conceive, be it creative brilliance, philanthropic impact, or professional excellence, all while anchoring your emotional equilibrium in virtues, not external trophies. The confidence and moral clarity that emerges from this synergy might well surpass anything typical hustle culture can muster. Because while others panic at the thought of a slip, the Stoic knows it was always possible, and stands ready to adapt. Realizing that, ironically, can lead you to surpass them in resilience, creativity, and ultimately, in meaningful success. Let us now flow seamlessly into Part 2, where illusions about controlling success and about the terror of failure will be thoroughly unmasked. For it's only by unmasking illusions that Stoic ambition can shine in full splendor. Let us now advance into Part 2 of this exploration, focusing on the illusions that so often sabotage a healthy, Stoic version of ambition. In Part 1, we established that Stoicism doesn't negate ambition. Rather, it reframes it, urging you to engage fully in your pursuits while simultaneously releasing attachment to outcomes. That combination, paradoxically, often yields higher achievement and far less anxiety. Yet illusions regarding success and failure can undermine even the best intentions, causing you to cling desperately to a desired outcome or shrink back in fear of defeat. In this second part, we'll dissect these illusions and show how Stoic negative visualization can dissolve them, freeing you to pour your energies into meaningful success without being consumed by dread. Illusion 1. My entire worth depends on this outcome. Perhaps the most potent illusion plaguing ambitious individuals is the belief that one's entire identity hinges on hitting a specific target, be it a promotion, a championship title, or a set financial milestone. We hear it whispered in statements like, "If I fail at this, it proves I'm inadequate," or "I can't bear to face others if I don't succeed." This illusion equates external success with personal worth, forging a noxious blend of self-esteem, fear, and pride. The Stoics saw this as a profound misunderstanding of what truly defines us, namely our character and how we conduct ourselves, not how external events unfold. Consider a modern scenario. You might be launching a startup, investing sleepless nights and personal savings. If illusions control you, your mind chants, "If this fails, I'm a failure." The Stoic vantage, however, draws on negative visualization to calm that mania. You deliberately imagine the startup folding. You see yourself coping. Maybe you'd lose some money, scale down expenses, pivot to a new venture or job. Even though it'd sting, you wouldn't be annihilated as a person. That mental rehearsal chips away at the illusion that success in that startup is your sole path to worthiness. Freed from that burden, you can concentrate on the process, improving your product, building genuine relationships, unhindered by the dread of how failure might label you. Ironically, this often enhances your performance because you're less paralyzed by the fear of personal invalidation. Stoics emphasize that your genuine worth resides in your capacity for reason and virtue, something no external blow can truly erase. So if that big dream falters, you retain your core identity, your moral stance, your creative mind, your capacity to keep going. It's not about apathy toward success. It's about dethroning illusions that your entire being rests on it. This perspective fosters a steadiness that's not only psychologically healthier, but can be more effective, because you're less prone to meltdown or rash decisions fueled by panic. Illusion 2. Failure is catastrophic and must be avoided at all costs. Another common illusion posits that failure, particularly public failure, is something so humiliating or devastating that you must avoid it by any means necessary. This can manifest as a perfectionism that never dares to release a project unless it's 100% flawless, or a chronic hesitation to attempt new challenges for fear of flopping. The tragedy is that this illusion blocks real ambition. many people with potential remain stuck, frightened of the monstrous "what if it goes wrong" scenario. Stoicism, however, systematically dismantles that fear by encouraging you to face the possibility of failure head-on. For instance, if you dream of writing a novel but fear no one will read it, or that critics will mock it, illusions might chain you. I can't risk that ridicule. Stoic negative visualization invites you to conjure the scenario of scathing reviews or near-zero sales. You see yourself dealing with embarrassment, maybe licking your wounds for a while, then regrouping with lessons learned. The result? A realization that, although painful, such failure isn't terminal to your life or your worth. Freed from illusions of catastrophic meltdown, you might proceed boldly, refining the manuscript and publishing. Even if it doesn't gain immediate traction, Stoic composure helps you adapt, marketing differently, or continuing to hone your craft. While illusions would have you stuck in, "I must be perfect or not try at all." The Stoic approach also fosters resilience if real failure arrives. You aren't undone because you knew it was possible. You have a fallback or pivot plan, and your identity doesn't revolve solely around that success. This is how Stoic acceptance transforms perceived catastrophe into a surmountable obstacle. The outcome might be an iterative path: fail, learn, reattempt, rather than a singular bet where illusions insist you can't afford a misstep. Illusion 3. I can guarantee success if I just plan perfectly. This illusion proclaims total control over external events. It lures the driven individual to believe, by sheer will and cunning, I can secure the outcome I crave. At first glance, this can appear motivational, but Stoics argue it's misguided because so much depends on variables beyond your domain: market conditions, other people's actions, random luck. If you assume you can guarantee success, you set yourself up for shock and despair when disruptions occur. Meanwhile, illusions of guaranteed victory can also lead you to ignore contingencies. If you think you cannot fail, you might skip prudent measures like developing alternate strategies or forging supportive networks. Stoic negative visualization plays a pivotal role here. By imagining the various ways your plan might derail, supplier issues, personal setbacks, shifting consumer tastes, you mentally accept that these are not fully within your command. That acceptance fosters adaptability. You might say, "Let me do everything possible to mitigate these risks, but I won't be floored if they arise." Freed from illusions, you devise backup plans or remain open to pivoting. If a problem emerges, you shift calmly, rather than raging against unfair fate. This calmness ironically yields better crisis management, which can salvage or even enhance your overall success. Let me illustrate with a personal anecdote. Once, I planned a large event, believing thorough organization would ensure everything ran smoothly. I neglected a contingency for bad weather, certain I could choose a date where it wouldn't rain. That's comedic in hindsight, but illusions sometimes are. A sudden storm indeed hit, soaking half the venue. My illusions spawned frustration. This shouldn't have happened. I planned too well. Real Stoic acceptance would have prompted a plan B, renting a tent or having an indoor backup, thereby reducing chaos. That is the difference illusions can make. Without them, you see unpredictability as normal and prepare accordingly, not letting it sabotage your quest. Illusion 4. If I'm not obsessed, I won't achieve greatness. Many hold the notion that relentless obsession, where you live and breathe your goal, letting it overshadow all else, is mandatory for big success. They point to famous artists or entrepreneurs rumored to have poured every ounce of themselves into their craft, seemingly uncaring about life's other dimensions. But Stoics would caution. Intense focus on process is not the same as obsession over results. A Stoic can be extremely disciplined, giving enormous effort to daily training or study, yet remain emotionally detached from how success or recognition ultimately unfolds. The result is a quieter, steadier drive. You might indeed spend hours each day on your skill, but illusions that you must crave the outcome above all else are absent. Moreover, Stoic philosophy highlights that an unbalanced obsession can lead to self-destructive behaviors, like ignoring health, relationships, or moral considerations. You might reach a certain pinnacle, but find yourself morally bankrupt, physically depleted, or profoundly lonely. Stoic detachment fosters a healthier approach. You strive with dedication, but keep a perspective that life's blessings, friendships, leisure, mental well-being also matter. This perspective can help you sustain your ambition long-term, rather than burning out in a flash of mania. Indeed, many top performers who maintain longevity adopt a Stoic flavor, whether they name it as such or not, balancing intense dedication with a certain acceptance that not every factor is under their command, and they must nurture broader well-being. An example: an athlete who trains diligently, invests in rest and mental clarity, and acknowledges that an injury or a competitor's surge might block the gold medal. She isn't lesser for that acceptance. She's more resilient, less likely to sabotage her performance through fear-driven mania. Over time, illusions that only unbridled obsession can produce excellence dissolve, replaced by Stoic faith in a calm, methodical, balanced approach. That approach might ironically yield better performance, because you're not weighed down by illusions or ignoring fundamental needs. Dissolving illusions with negative visualization and rational self-dialogue. Now that we've mapped these illusions, how do we systematically uproot them? Stoic negative visualization remains a cornerstone. You specifically imagine the failed or unfavorable scenario. That might mean picturing an investor's rejection, an unimpressive sales quarter, or the overshadowing success of a rival. In your mind, you see the emotional sting, then see yourself coping, revising your plan, gleaning lessons, or perhaps changing direction entirely. That mental rehearsal counters illusions that failure is catastrophic or that you must win or die. By acknowledging you'd survive or adapt, illusions lose their grip. Additionally, the Stoics emphasize rational self-dialogue. When illusions whisper, "If I fail, I'm worthless," you respond, "That's not rational. My worth resides in my character, not an external outcome." Or if illusions suggest, "I must keep total control," you reflect, "So many variables lie beyond my domain. My job is to influence what I can, not to pretend I command fate." Replacing illusions with Stoic logic fosters calm ambition. Over time, you cultivate an internal voice that swiftly flags illusions as they arise, preventing them from distorting your path. Finally, practice acceptance of partial influence. If illusions say, "I can guarantee success if I try hard enough," Stoics reframe it. "I can drastically improve my odds through discipline, but external events can still intervene." This fosters thorough planning while leaving room for unpredictability. If adversity hits, illusions would cause meltdown. "It's not fair, I did everything right." Whereas Stoic acceptance spares you from that meltdown, letting you adapt. This is how illusions hamper success. They can lead you to overcommit to a single strategy, ignoring the need for contingency plans. Freed from illusions, you proceed with a main plan plus flexible alternatives, ironically increasing your chance of achieving something significant. Stoic examples in history and modernity. Throughout history, we see men and women who thrived by balancing ambition with detachment. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire amid wars and plagues, focusing on moral governance yet never assuming he could quell all threats. Epictetus, a former slave who rose to philosophical renown, poured effort into teaching, detached from illusions about fame or wealth. He simply refined his craft. In modern times, we see parallels in certain leaders or creators who remain calm under huge pressure, focusing on consistent effort, unshaken by short-term setbacks. Consider an entrepreneur who invests her life savings in a new product. She works diligently, invests in marketing, fosters a team spirit, all the while acknowledging that shifts in consumer taste or competitor moves might hamper her success. That acceptance doesn't reduce her drive, it clarifies it. She commits fully, yet readies a plan B. If illusions possessed her, she'd ignore potential pitfalls or panic if initial sales lag. The Stoic approach fosters balanced perseverance. If Plan B must be activated, she calmly transitions, gleaning experience to apply next time. Over multiple ventures, she accumulates wisdom, not shame. Her ambition remains high, but illusions about guaranteeing any single outcome do not stifle her. This cyclical Stoic method, act wholeheartedly, accept partial control, adapt if necessary, often yields a more sustainable track record of success, the interplay of ambition, morality, and joy. We should also clarify that Stoic ambition stays tethered to moral lines. If illusions push you to think, "I must succeed at any cost," you risk unethical shortcuts. Stoic detachment dissolves illusions that you can't bear losing. This ensures you won't corrupt your values for a trophy. For instance, if you're in a competition, illusions might say, "I must cheat or else." But the Stoic vantage says, "Better to lose cleanly than degrade my character." Freed from illusions that losing is the end, you refuse dirty tactics. This moral clarity ironically yields deeper satisfaction. If you do win, it's untainted. If you lose, you remain at peace with how you played the game. In personal relationships, illusions about having to win or overshadow your partner can sabotage closeness. Stoic ambition in relationships means striving to be a supportive, growth-oriented partner while releasing illusions that you must always dominate. Indeed, Stoic detachment fosters genuine listening and empathy. You become ambitious for mutual understanding, not for manipulation. That's a subtle nuance. Stoic ambition can revolve around building a flourishing life with others, seeing success as something that includes moral synergy rather than purely self-centered metrics. Lastly, Stoic approach fosters a sense of joy in the process. Instead of pinning your happiness solely on a future victory, you discover pleasure in each step, practicing your craft, forging connections, learning from small setbacks. Because illusions about "I'll only be happy when I achieve X" vanish, you free yourself to enjoy daily progress. That daily engagement becomes a source of meaning. If the final outcome is favorable, great. If not, you still gleaned the richness of honest work and personal development. Many Stoics found that, ironically, letting go of illusions about the finish line made each day more rewarding, fueling consistent motivation that outperforms anxious or obsessive styles. Now, some exciting news. Our channel now offers a members club. By joining it, you'll unlock exclusive benefits, deeper content dives, and personal insights. Join us on this journey, and let's build a meaningful life together. And I also humbly ask you to leave a comment, as it helps my channel immensely. If you do not know what to comment, just write "better every day" so I know you reached this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Also, I've linked some books on Stoicism that helped me become the man I am today, and will also help you achieve a Stoic mindset. Having seen how illusions about success hamper Stoic ambition, we next shape a daily routine that merges Stoic practices: negative visualization, illusions-free planning, moral lines, acceptance of partial control, into a cohesive framework. That'll be the focus of Part 3. We'll consider the rhythms of morning reflection, midday adaptability checks, and evening reviews, just as we did in earlier Stoic scripts, but tailored specifically for ambition. We'll delve into how you set goals stoically, measure progress without illusions, and handle real obstacles with a mind that's calm yet driven. If illusions reappear, you'll meet them swiftly, employing negative visualization to quell fear of defeat or mania for total triumph. This final synergy ensures that Stoic ambition becomes a living practice, not an abstract ideal. For now, let the insights of Part 2 settle. Illusions telling you my worth equals external success, failure equals catastrophe, or I can guarantee victory by absolute will, or I need obsession to excel, are precisely what hamper real progress. By shining Stoic light on these illusions, you see they breed fear, unethical shortcuts, or meltdown under pressure. Freed from illusions, you can aim high, adapt calmly, and remain ethically solid. This is the Stoic secret. Ambition, yes, but merged with detachment from final outcomes. Something that ironically can lead to deeper and more lasting forms of success. Let us proceed next to Part 3, forging the practical routine that cements Stoic ambition into daily life. Here we are, ready to unite everything from Parts 1 and 2 into a cohesive daily regimen. A Stoic roadmap that blends ambition with detachment to yield meaningful success. We've seen how the Stoics, far from killing drive or aspiration, champion a potent form of ambition fueled by disciplined effort and moral clarity, free from illusions about guaranteed results or total control. We've dissected illusions that sabotage us, like believing your worth hinges on an outcome, or that failure is catastrophic. Now, in this final part, we'll shape a practical routine that weaves Stoic principles into each day. Whether your goal is launching a business, mastering a craft, or pursuing personal growth, these steps help you strive wholeheartedly while retaining emotional composure and ethical grounding. Morning grounding, the seed of Stoic ambition. Let us begin each day with a reflective moment, an anchoring exercise that sets the tone. You wake, perhaps feeling the tug of your major goal or anxieties about tasks ahead. Instead of rushing into emails or news updates, you pause to engage in a short Stoic practice. 1. Negative visualization on daily challenges. Close your eyes for a minute and imagine one or two potential obstacles to your ambition. A client might cancel a contract, a project might stall, or a competitor might outshine you. You face these scenarios calmly, see how you'd adapt, and note that, while unwelcome, they wouldn't destroy your life or your sense of self. You might think, if the client bails, I'll pivot to Plan B, or refine my pitch for future clients. This quick mental rehearsal dissolves illusions that adversity is unbearable. Freed from that dread, you approach the day's tasks with clear determination, unburdened by catastrophic thinking. 2. Intentional goal setting with detachment. Next, define a concrete ambition for the day, maybe finishing a key proposal or dedicating 2 hours to deep creative work. Pair it with the Stoic reminder that you control only your actions, not external acceptance or outcomes. So your focus is on delivering your best effort. You might silently affirm, "I will do everything in my power to craft an excellent proposal, but I accept the client's decision is theirs. My worth rests in the quality of my work and my virtue, not in the final verdict." 3. Moral check. Because Stoic ambition must remain ethically anchored, reflect briefly. Are there moral lines I must uphold today? For instance, vow not to misrepresent data in your pitch or undermine a colleague to advance your agenda. By making this vow explicit each morning, you set the boundary that no external success justifies crossing it. If illusions whisper during the day, but you need to exaggerate to secure the deal, you recall your vow. This quiet, firm stance helps you maintain integrity amid competitive pressures. This morning grounding might take only 5 minutes, yet it primes you to move through the day with Stoic confidence. You maintain awareness that challenges might arise, but illusions about catastrophic failure or guaranteed control are recognized as illusions, leaving you free to perform at your best. Second, pursuing the day. The process-focused approach. Once the day is underway, Stoic ambition calls for immersion in the process. Rather than fixating on your ultimate measure of success, revenue targets, a final performance, or some public accolade, you focus on what Stoics call your domain of control. The immediate tasks, the quality of your interactions, the diligence you apply. This yields 2 key benefits. 1. Reduced anxiety, greater creativity. Because you're not constantly fretting over whether you'll win in the end, your mind can devote itself fully to the activity at hand. In a brainstorming session, you experiment more freely, unafraid of looking foolish. In negotiations, you remain poised rather than desperate. Freed from illusions of, "I must secure this or else," you engage calmly, ironically increasing your odds of success. That calm presence is often a performance enhancer, as it fosters innovative thinking and stable decision-making under pressure. 2. Ethical consistency. Stoics remind you that how you act matters more than whether you triumph externally. So, as you go about your day, sending emails, designing new features, collaborating with a team, you maintain a moral compass. If illusions nudge you toward cutting corners or disparaging a competitor unfairly, your Stoic vow from the morning prompts you to refuse. You might worry that's a disadvantage in cutthroat contexts. Yet Stoics see moral compromise as a silent poison that undermines the deeper fulfillment you seek. By staying process-focused, you also keep an eye on moral lines, ensuring your ambition doesn't mutate into unscrupulous fervor. Periodically, you might run a quick mental check. Am I pouring my energy into the process, or am I obsessing over external applause or fear of flop? If you feel the latter, recall negative visualization. Picture the failure, see yourself surviving it, and gently refocus on executing the present step with excellence. Over days, this habit transforms you from an outcome-fixated person into a calm, relentless doer who consistently refines skills, builds relationships, and remains open to emergent opportunities. Third midday reflection. Catching illusions. Early, at some point, perhaps around lunch or a brief pause, take a short Stoic inventory. The hustle of the morning might have triggered illusions. A phone call with an investor might have unsettled you, or a small setback might have you catastrophizing that your project is doomed. Pausing for a Stoic check resets your approach. 1. Identify emotional shifts. Ask, have I become anxious or frustrated because events didn't match my plan? If so, illusions about controlling the entire plan might be creeping in. Stoic logic helps you pivot. Yes, that investor was cautious, but I can't ensure they'll invest. Let me adapt, approach others, or refine my pitch. This self-dialogue calms any panic and realigns you with acceptance. 2. Renew negative visualization. If illusions around catastrophic failure swirl, do a quick mental run. Suppose you fear a rival overshadowing your product. In your mind, see them winning accolades, while you face tepid response. You acknowledge the pain, yet see yourself persisting or pivoting. Freed from illusions that overshadow means ruin, you return to your tasks with renewed composure. 3. Check moral boundaries. If the morning brought a hint of unethical shortcuts, illusions might say, it's a tiny cheat, no big deal. At midday, you reflect, am I about to break my vow for convenience? Is that truly in line with my deeper values? That question might spark a small corrective action, like discarding the shortcut or clarifying a detail. Over time, these midday checks preserve your moral consistency, so your pursuit of ambition never strays into unscrupulous territory. This midday reflection might last only a few minutes, but it prevents illusions from festering all afternoon. By acknowledging them early, you remain on track, both in your process focus and your moral stance. Fourth, the evening review. Honoring growth and refining the next day. As dusk settles, you carve out time to conduct what Seneca and other Stoics call an evening review. You mentally replay the day's efforts toward your ambition, scanning for illusions that might have slipped by or moral lines you might have approached. This reflection has multiple layers. 1. Positive acknowledgement. Spot moments where you adhered to Stoic ambition. You gave your best in a tough negotiation, never letting illusions of, I must win or I'm worthless, hamper you. Or you pivoted calmly when faced with an unexpected glitch. Acknowledge that progress. The Stoics see building virtue and composure as incremental. Recognizing small wins fosters confidence and a sense of forward momentum. Identifying illusions. You might find you felt a surge of panic after a competitor unveiled a flashy marketing campaign. Why did that rattle me? Perhaps illusions about controlling the entire market fueled that panic. Or illusions that a competitor's success dooms your path. Naming those illusions in the evening ensures they're not left lurking. You can vow to address them with more consistent negative visualization. Yes, the competitor might overshadow me for a while, but that's not fatal. I'll refine my approach. Freed from illusions, you face tomorrow with a strategy rather than dread. 3. Moral integrity check. Stoics never separate ambition from virtue. Did you sense any moral compromise? Even a little shading of truth in your day's interactions? If so, see which illusions, I can't afford to be fully honest here, or emotional impulses, I can't stand losing face, triggered it. Plan how to rectify or avoid that slip next time. If you remained ethically clean, commend yourself, because that synergy of moral lines and ambition is the Stoic hallmark. 4. Guidance for tomorrow. Finally, let the day's lessons shape your next steps. If illusions overcame you in certain contexts, vow to practice more negative visualization or acceptance. If you thrived in certain tasks, note how that stoic calm aided you. That cyclical improvement keeps your ambition both effective and psychologically sustainable. Over weeks and months, your capacity for stoic composure in pursuit of big goals increases drastically. In short, the evening review cements the day's experiences as lessons, both reinforcing good stoic habits and adjusting for illusions that linger. The cumulative effect is a daily cycle of stoic ambition that grows more stable and potent. V. Embracing the moral center of stoic ambition. A thread that runs throughout these stoic routines is moral grounding. In the race for success, illusions often coax us into small or large ethical lapses. Stoics remind us that no external achievement can truly compensate for the corruption of one's character. Thus, ambition must always sit in the seat next to virtue, never overshadow it. As you navigate your day, you reaffirm that certain lines, like honesty or fairness, are not negotiable. Freed from illusions that I must succeed at any cost, you might indeed pass on certain questionable shortcuts. Yet, ironically, such transparency often builds trust and a long-term reputation that yields deeper success than short-lived gains built on deception. A real-life illustration. Suppose a developer is pressed by a manager to inflate software capabilities to secure a client. The illusions say, "We can't risk losing this contract." The Stoic vantage counters that misrepresenting the product fosters a bigger meltdown later. Angry customers, tarnished brand, personal guilt. So you stand firm, explaining that while you'll highlight legitimate strengths, you won't lie. You accept that you might lose the deal short term, but that moral clarity can lead to a better alignment with clients who truly value your approach, and preserve your dignity if the initial contract indeed falls through. Over time, you attract partners who appreciate integrity, forging a more stable success. Stoic ambition thrives on building a foundation that illusions never truly offer. Fifth, adapting plans without forsaking goals. A hallmark of Stoic ambition is readiness to adapt. Freed from illusions that your strategy is foolproof, you remain open to course corrections. If a key assumption proves false, you pivot calmly rather than clinging to a sinking plan out of pride or illusions of total control. This fluid approach is reminiscent of how a skilled sailor navigates the winds, adjusting sails based on changing conditions, never insisting the wind must blow exactly as predicted. In practice, that means if, after a few months, your marketing approach fails to gain traction, you reevaluate. You might shift your brand angle or explore a different niche, all the while unwavering in your bigger aim, creating value or forging a successful brand. A Stoic sees that illusions of, "but I spent so much effort here, I must push forward at any cost," can ruin you. Instead, you accept reality's feedback. By letting illusions about one correct plan dissolve, you become more agile. That agility is a precious commodity in modern times, where markets, technologies, and cultural tastes shift rapidly. Seventh, overcoming fear of outshining. Others or being outshone. Sometimes, illusions revolve around how your success or someone else's success reflects on you. Maybe you hold back from shining too brightly for fear that peers might resent you, or you resent a friend's big break, as illusions tell you it steals your spotlight. Stoic ambition dissolves that envy or fear by reminding you that each person's path is partly beyond your domain. You focus on your craft, your progress, your moral approach. Others' achievements or opinions aren't wholly in your control. If illusions breed jealousy or intimidation, Stoic logic counters. Their success doesn't diminish my capacity or my worth. I can glean inspiration or lessons if they do well, but I remain anchored in my own efforts. This Stoic stance fosters synergy rather than rivalry, letting you collaborate or celebrate others' victories without illusions that your destiny depends on overshadowing them or being overshadowed. In a workplace, that can lead to a more uplifting dynamic, where you root for a colleague's promotion while still vigorously pursuing your own goals. Freed from illusions of a zero-sum game, you can maintain Stoic calm if they surpass you. Meanwhile, illusions that I must sabotage them or I fail lose their hold. Over time, that environment yields deeper success for many, ironically showing how Stoic ambition can raise communal standards, not just personal ones. 8. Real-life crisis. If failure materializes. If, in the midst of your pursuit, real failure does manifest, like your startup collapses, your big audition is rejected, or your academic venture meets disapproval, Stoic acceptance steps forward. You might grieve the outcome, but illusions that my life is ruined or I'm worthless do not overwhelm you. You recall negative visualization. You expected the possibility and conjured a plan B. You shift with minimal self-torture, gleaning what lessons you can, then realign your ambition with a new approach. That might be relaunching under a different model, or pivoting to a separate domain that resonates with your skill set. The key is that Stoic ambition sees adversity as part of the journey, not a final condemnation. Illusions might have hammered, failure equals the end. Stoicism retorts, no, it's a setback I can endure, and I remain free to keep refining my path. Consider the example of an artist whose exhibit flops. If illusions drive them, they might say, I'll never paint again. This proves I lack talent. Stoic vantage sees, one flop doesn't define my entire craft. I can introspect, refine technique, or shift style, continuing the quest for expression. Freed from illusions that all hinged on this exhibit, the artist perseveres. Over time, such an approach fosters resilience, and the next exhibit might break through. Even if it doesn't, the Stoic artist finds meaning in the creative process itself, unchained from illusions that success is the only measure of worth. 9th, integrating the internal and external success. We should address the synergy between internal virtue and external goals. Stoic ambition never claims you should ignore external markers, like wanting recognition for your invention or financial stability to support your family. It only warns that illusions about guaranteeing or desperately needing those markers will sabotage your calm. So you can hold external success as a worthy target while preserving the Stoic principle that your essential worth is not at stake. This synergy allows you to blend heartfelt goals, like building a global brand or writing a bestseller, with moral clarity and emotional equanimity. If you achieve them, you rejoice while staying humble. If not, you pivot, retaining dignity. Additionally, Stoic ambition sees that success gained ethically and with emotional balance is success you can truly enjoy. If illusions forced you into unethical or frantic extremes, the spoils might feel hollow or overshadowed by mental unrest. By weaving Stoic acceptance, you enjoy each milestone free from pangs of regret. You might sometimes sacrifice short-term wins to uphold moral lines, but the intangible reward is a lasting sense of self-respect. Over time, that intangible reward is far more precious than fleeting glory stained by guilt. A concluding daily regimen for Stoic ambition. Let's finalize a streamlined daily regimen that merges everything we've covered. 1. Morning reminder O. Wake up and do a quick negative visualization focusing on potential setbacks for the day's goals. Then reaffirm your moral lines, like honesty or fairness, and vow to remain process-focused. This sets the mental tone of calm ambition. Second, mid-morning process. Check O as you start working. Keep illusions at bay by reminding yourself that your domain is consistent effort, not a guaranteed outcome. If you sense creeping fear, like, what if no one buys this product? Acknowledge it, let it pass, and redouble your focus on the tasks you control. Third, midday reflection O. Over lunch or a brief break, ask if illusions have spurred undue stress or moral compromise. If so, realign. Recall negative visualization. Adapt your plan as needed. Reaffirm that a single day's adversity or shortfall doesn't define you. 4. Afternoon adaptation O. As you face evolving conditions, client feedback, new competitor moves, accept partial influence. You pivot if illusions of total control are proven false. Calmly revise strategy, seeing it not as failure but as an expected possibility. 5. Evening review O. Revisit the day's achievements or stumbles. Did illusions hamper you, or did Stoic acceptance guide you? Did you maintain moral lines? If illusions triggered panic or unethical temptations, analyze how to improve. If you overcame them, celebrate that Stoic victory. This cyclical reflection cements daily learning, refining your Stoic ambition over time. 6. Ongoing growth O. Weekly or monthly, do a deeper negative visualization on bigger ambitions, like major projects or long-term dreams. Imagine worst-case outcomes, calm your fear, plan a path forward. Also, remind yourself that no single external success or failure grants or nullifies your innate worth. That fosters a resilient mindset for the long haul. This regimen fosters what the Stoics call tranquil diligence. You labor each day with dedication, unclouded by illusions or crippling anxieties, unwavering in moral stance. Over weeks and months, you might see real progress in your craft or leadership. Even if obstacles arise, you're not undone. You adapt with Stoic poise. That's the synergy. You harness ambition while living in a state of internal equilibrium and virtue, unattached to illusions that external triumph or perfect control is the only path. 11th. Embracing the Stoic secret to meaningful success. In bringing this discussion to a close, let me reiterate the central paradox. By caring less about winning or losing, you often perform at your highest capacity. By refusing illusions that your identity is at stake or that success must be guaranteed, you free your mind for creativity, risk-taking, and moral consistency. The outcome might be triumph, enhanced by the knowledge you didn't warp your character or suffer incessant anxiety along the way. Or it might be partial failure, from which you learn and rebound without meltdown, gleaning deeper wisdom for your next endeavor. Stoic ambition, then, is not passivity or half-heartedness. It's a robust engagement in your goals, anchored by acceptance of uncertainty and unwavering moral lines. Such an approach suits the modern world's volatility splendidly. As technology evolves, markets shift, and personal opportunities come and go. Illusions about total control or the catastrophic nature of failure hamper progress. Stoic acceptance and negative visualization, by contrast, equip you to pivot elegantly, adapt with cunning, and remain calm and ethically sound no matter what. Reflect on your own aspirations. Maybe you aim to lead a significant project, create groundbreaking art, or ascend in a competitive field. Stoicism says, yes, chase that success, but do it with your center intact. Let illusions about your worth or controlling every outcome fall away. The mental space that emerges once illusions depart is enormous. You fill it with focused, rational, purposeful action, unclouded by panic or moral compromise. Over time, you see that each day's incremental progress fosters an authentic sense of accomplishment, plus the intangible joy that flows from living in accord with reason. Thus, we conclude, ambition and detachment. The Stoic secret to meaningful success is not a contradictory phrase, but the unveiling of how real success thrives when you quell illusions, accept partial influence, and throw yourself wholeheartedly into the process. That synergy is the Stoic formula for a life that both aspires to greatness and remains serene in the face of unpredictability. May these teachings guide you to dream big, pursue diligently, and hold your peace of mind as a treasure no outcome can bestow or revoke. Truly a secret worth embracing in a world hungry for deeper, more sustainable success. Now, if any part of this message has been helpful to you, leave us your like and comment, helping the algorithm recommend it to someone who needs it at this time. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos. And if you look through the videos we've already uploaded, you're sure to find something to take with you. Have a good day.